Works project for the regional office. 26G00044, construction of 45 school building project. 123 classrooms in various school sites in Region 6. Aklan ng Tigay Capiz in Iloilo with a DVC of 435,092,205 pesos and 28 centavos, and one for goods and services. 25GG046, procurement of one lump sum geotechnical analysis and design software to be for use in the planning and design division, DPWH number 6, Iloilo City, with an ABC of 2,953,750 pesos. Please be informed that this private conference is being live streamed to the YouTube channel of the DPWH Regional Office number 6. In this regard, we will kindly request everyone to place the cellular phone on silent mode. May once again call the Engineering Captain Manana from the Back Secretariat to conduct the roll call in order to determine the presence of quorum. Kindly respond present or here when your name is called.
Thank you, Sir Rick, our chairperson. Sir, the Bids and Awards Committee are composed of the following. We have our BAC chairperson, Engineer Ricardo R. Gutierrez. Our BAC vice chairperson, Engineer Ludwig D. Ledesma. Our BAC regular member, Engineer Mariluchi Zamora. Our BAC professional members, Engineer Ruth R. Pedroso. Engineer Mary Jane Maghari for the procurement of infra projects. And Attorney Marian Haleco for the procurement of goods and services. Sir, please be informed that all members of the Bids and Awards Committee for the procurement of infra projects and goods and services of the regional office are present in this afternoon's pre-bid conference we have.
Thank you, ma'am. Since 5 out of 5 members of the BAC for infra and for goods and services are present, I hereby declare this private conference duly constituted.
Also present are the BAC Secretariat. Please be informed that observers were duly notified and invited in writing, but unfortunately none of them sent their representatives to attend this pre-bid conference we have this afternoon. Thank you.
I now request the BAC Secretariat to present the pertinent data for the contract.
For Civil Works, contract ID number 26G00044, contract name construction of 45 school building projects, 1, 2, 3 classrooms in various school sites in Region 6. Location, Aklan, Antique, Capiz, and Iloilo. Implementing Office, Regional Office 6. Funding source, FY 2026 General Appropriations Act, or GAA. Approved budget for the contract is 435,092,205 pesos and 28 centavos. Contract duration 313 calendar days. For the scope of work, this project involves the construction of 45 Department of Education DepEd school buildings designed to support the growing educational needs of the community by providing safe, functional, and conducive learning environments. The development includes various standard school building configurations, such as a 1-story 1-classroom building, 1-story 2-classroom building, 1-story 3-classroom building, 1-story 5-classroom building, 2-story 4-classroom building, and 2-story 6-classroom building. Each structure is planned with reinforced concrete construction, adequate ventilation and lighting, accessible facilities, and compliance with DepEd standards and the National Building Code to ensure durability, safety, and comfort for students and teachers. For the major category of works, buildings, construction without piles, low-rise concrete frame, 1 to 5 stories. For the similar categories of works, buildings, construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame, cast-in-place piles, 6 and above stories. Buildings, construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame, cast-in-place piles, 16 and above stories. Buildings, construction with piles, low-rise concrete frame, cast-in-place piles, 1 to 5 stories. Buildings, construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame, driven piles, 6 and above stories. Buildings construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame, driven piles 16 and above stories. Buildings construction with piles, low-rise concrete frame, driven piles 1 to 5 stories. Buildings construction without piles, high-rise concrete frame 6 and above stories. Buildings construction without piles, high-rise concrete frame 16 and above stories. Buildings construction with piles, medium-rise concrete frame, driven piles 6 to 15 stories. Buildings construction with piles, medium-rise concrete frame, cast and place piles 6 to 15 stories. Buildings construction without piles, medium-rise concrete frame 6 to 15 stories. For the list of key personnel for the position of 1 project manager, 1 project engineer, 1 project inspector, 1 materials engineer, 2, 1 safety officer, and 1 foreman, the minimum years of total work experience is 5, the same with the minimum years of experience in similar works. For the list of key equipment units, 10 backhoe, 45 bar bedders, single phase, 45 bar cutters, single phase, 10 bulldozer, 45 concrete vibrator, 45 cutting outfit, 10 dump truck, 15 jackhammer. Please take note of their capacity. 45 1 bagger mixer, 10 payloader, 20 plate compactor, 5 water truck with pump, 25 welding machine, electric driven DC output. Please take note of their capacity. Schedules for civil works, deadline for submission of clarification, August 10, 2026. Deadline for submission of bids, August 20, 2026. Number of copies of bid proposal, 1 original copy, technical and financial envelope of its bid. Place of submission of bids, bidding room, DPWH, Regional Office 6, Fort San Pedro, Iloilo City. For ISO 9001-2015, these requirements applies to bidders classified under the following Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board or PCAB, size, range, and are participating in the department's procurement of infrastructure projects with approved budget for the contract range to width. For pickup size range large A, more than 300 million but less than 450 million, effectivity January 1, 2025. For medium B, more than 150 million but less than 300 million pesos, effectivity July 1, 2025. For medium A, more than 30 million but less than 150 million pesos, effectivity January 1, 2026. As for large B contractors, ISO 9001-2015 certification or its latest version shall continue to be required when participating in the bidding of infrastructure projects costing 300 million pesos and above as clarified through DO01 series of 2011 until revoked or superseded. For goods and services, contract ID number 25GG046. Contract name, procurement of 1 lump sum geotechnical analysis and design software 2D for use in the planning and design division, DPWH, Regional Office 6, Iloilo City. Location, DPWH, Regional Office 6, Iloilo City. Funding source, FY 2025 JA. Approved budget for the contract is 2,953,750 pesos. For the scope of works, software contract duration 30 calendar days. For the schedule of requirements, 1 lump sum of geotechnical analysis and design software 2D. For the technical specifications, description allows users to run all geotechnical analysis in a single platform to solve construction and geotechnical problems related to the practical design of soil and rock mechanics, loose ground, tunnels, slopes, ramps, foundations, excavation, embankments, seepage, etc. For general requirements and specifications, a software licensing model, perpetual license, license access management standalone must be transferable. For its functionalities under analysis, finite element method or FEM analysis, slope stability analysis, rock stability analysis, consolidation analysis, dynamic analysis, settlement analysis, seepage analysis, liquefaction analysis, ground stress analysis, soil structure interaction. Under design, slow ground embankment excavations, shallow and deep foundations, retaining wall, dams and leaves, piles, tunnel, and underground structures. Under design codes or references, design guidelines, criteria, and standards, DGCS, Volume 2C preferable, AASHTO, ACI, ASCE, ASTM, AISC. Under export file format, PDF, Excel, text, output, or Word, graphics, pictures, tables, charts, diagrams, etc. For other requirements, compatibility. The supplied software shall be compatible and interoperable with other CAD software and other geotechnical analysis and design software 2D. In addition, it must operate on Windows 10, 11 operating system. For training, the supplier shall provide within the delivery period the following trainings: 5-day comprehensive training with actual application on DPWH projects for 2 participants per unit of software procured. 1-day software administration training for 2 DPWH system administrators or IT personnel. The supplier shall provide an implementation plan, letter request containing pertinent information such as training location, date and schedule, resource, speakers profile. For the 5-day comprehensive training, the supplier shall assign a resource speaker or software trainer who meets the following qualifications with supporting documents to be submitted as part of the bid proposal. Holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering as evidenced by a diploma and is an authorized trainer for the offered software as evidenced by certification from the software manufacturer. The training logistics shall be composed of but not limited to the following: training materials, certificate of training for end users and system administrators, training venue or facilities with ample vehicle parking space, and meals and refreshments. For operational acceptance, the inspections and tests shall be conducted during delivery of goods. Installation and configuration certificate or ICC shall be issued by the DPWH IT officer upon the completion of software installation and configuration. The supplied software shall be observed and tested for a period of 5 working days. For operational acceptance certificate OAC shall be issued after the 5 working days testing period, provided no issues are encountered. If any issues arise prior to the issuance of OAC, the supplier shall resolve them promptly free of charge and another 5 working day testing period shall commence. The OAC shall be issued after successful completion of the testing period. For certificate of completion or COC shall be issued by the implementing office as evidence of the completion of training and operational acceptance and submitted the required documentation in media. The maintenance period shall commence immediately upon the issuance of the COC. For documentation in media, the following shall be provided during delivery of goods: physical installers, any electronic media as necessary, installation guide, and manual. For warranty and maintenance coverage, the supplier shall provide 3-year maintenance with standard technical support, software updates, and bug fixes to ensure that all licenses are functioning within the maintenance period. The maintenance period should commence immediately upon the issuance of OAC and COC. The supplier shall issue a software maintenance certificate indicating the start and end of the maintenance period. For technical support, the local technical support shall be available through phone and email 9 hours per day from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. and 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. On-site technical support, if necessary, shall be available the next business day. Additional notes: the supplier shall present screenshots of the procedures and the software for each functionality requirement specified in the standard technical specifications as supporting evidence in the supplier's statement of compliance under Section 7 of bidding documents. For the schedules, deadline for submission of clarification, August 11, 2026. Deadline for submission of bids, August 20, 2026. Number of copies of bid proposal, 1 original copy technical and financial envelope of its bid. Place of submission of bids, Bidding Room, DPWH, Regional Office 6, Port San Pedro, Iloilo City.
Preparation of bids. The first bid envelope shall contain the following technical documents, including the eligibility documents, field job certificate of registration, membership, statement of SLCC, NFCC computation or committed line of credit or LOC, statement of all its ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid. If applicable, JVA, or in the absence of a JVA, duly notarized statements from all potential JV partners stating that they will enter into and abide by the provisions of the JVA in the event that the bid is successful. Bid security in the prescribed form and amount in accordance with ITB Clause 16 and validity period under ITB Clause 15. Technical specifications which may include production or delivery schedule, manpower requirements, or after-sales service or parts if applicable. Omnibus sworn statement, latest general information sheet or GIS reflecting the beneficial ownership information or BOI, duly received by the Securities and Exchange Commission or SEC for corporations, and for foreign bidders claiming eligibility by reason of their country's extension of reciprocal rights to Filipinos, a certification from the relevant government office of their country stating that Filipinos are allowed to participate in the government procurement activities for the same item or product. The second bid envelope shall contain the following financial documents: bid form, which includes the bid price, price schedules in accordance with ITB Clause 13.1, and if applicable, certificate of domestic preference in accordance with ITB Clause 25. The bidder shall accomplish the price schedule form as prescribed by the procuring entity, which may include the following details: for goods offered from within the Philippines, the price of the goods coded EXW, X Works, X Factory, X Warehouse, X Showroom, or off the shelf as applicable. The cost of all customs, duties, and sales, and other taxes already paid or payable. The cost of transportation, insurance, and other costs incidental to delivery of the goods to their final destination, and the price of other incidental services, if any, listed in the BDS. For goods offered from abroad, unless otherwise stated in the BDS, the price of the goods shall be coded delivery duty paid or DDP with the place of destination in the Philippines as specified in the BDS. In coding the price, the bidder shall be free to use transportation through carriers registered in any eligible country. Similarly, the bidder may obtain insurance services from any eligible source country, the price of other incidental services, if any, listed in the BDS. For services based on the form which may be prescribed by the procuring entity in accordance with existing laws, rules, and regulations. The bidder shall accomplish the appropriate price schedule included herein, stating the unit prices, total price per item, the total amount, and the expected countries of origin of the goods to be supplied under this project. The bidder shall fill in rates and prices for all items of the goods described in the price schedule, which shall be presented and computed using up to 2 decimal places unless otherwise indicated in the BDS. If the instructions to bidders specifically allow partial bids, bids not addressing or providing all of the required items in the bidding documents, including, where applicable, the price schedule shall be considered non-responsive and shall be automatically disqualified. However, when no price or a zero or a dash is indicated in required item in the bid form, the same shall be construed that it is being offered for free to the government, except those required by law or regulations to be provided for. The terms Ex Works or EXW, costs, insurance and freight or CIF, cost and insurance paid or CIP, GDP, and other trade terms used to describe the obligations of the parties shall be governed by the rules prescribed in the current edition of the International Commercial Terms or Incoterms published by the International Chamber of Commerce, Paris. Prices quoted by the bidder shall be fixed during the bidder's performance of the contract and not subject to variation or price escalation on any account. A bid submitted with an adjustable price quotation shall be treated as non-responsive and shall be rejected. Prices quoted by the bidder shall be fixed during the bidder's performance of the contract and not subject to variation or price escalation on any account. A bid submitted with an adjustable price quotation shall be treated as non-responsive and shall be rejected. Bid currencies. Prices shall be quoted in the following currencies. For goods that the bidder will supply from within the Philippines, the prices shall be quoted in Philippine peso. For goods that the bidder will supply from outside the Philippines, the prices may be quoted in the local or tradable currencies accepted by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP, as stated in the BDS. However, for purposes of bid evaluation, bids denominated in foreign currency shall be converted to Philippine currency based on the exchange rate published in the BSP Daily Reference Exchange Rate Bulletin on the day of the bid opening. Bid validity. Bids shall remain valid for the period specified in the BDS, which shall not exceed 120 calendar days from the date of the opening of bids. Should it become necessary to extend the validity of the bids and the bid securities beyond 120 calendar days, the procuring entity concerned shall request in writing all those who submitted bids for such extension before the expiration date. Therefore, bidders, however, shall have the right to refuse to grant such extension without forfeiting their bid security. The bidder at its option shall submit the bid security in the form and amount as stated in the BDS, which may include the following. The bidder shall submit a bid securing declaration or any form of bid security enumerated below. Cash or cashier's or manager's check issued by a universal or commercial bank. The amount of bid security not less than percentage of the ABC is 2%. For bank draft or guarantee or a revocable LC issued by a universal or commercial bank, 5%. Surety bond, callable upon demand, issued by a surety or insurance company duly certified by the Insurance Commission as authorized to issue such security, is 5%. Format and signing of bids. Bidders shall submit their bids through their duly authorized representative using the appropriate forms provided on or before the deadline specified in the ITB Clause 19 in 2 separate sealed bid envelopes, which shall be submitted simultaneously, whether through manual or online submission. The first shall contain the technical component of the bid, including the eligibility requirements under ITB Clause 12. And the second shall contain the financial components of the bid. This shall also be observed for each lot in the case of lot procurement. Forms as mentioned in ITB Clause 17.1 must be completed without any alterations to their format. No substitute form shall be accepted. Each and every page of the bid form, including the price schedule under Section 8 hereof, shall be signed by the duly authorized representatives of the bidder. Failure to do so shall be a ground for any rejection of the bid. Any insertions, erasures, or overwriting shall be valid only if they are signed or initialed by the duly authorized representatives of the bidder. Sealing and marking of bids. Bidders shall enclose their technical documents described in ITB Clause 12 in one sealed envelope marked Technical Component, and the financial component in another sealed envelope marked Financial Component, sealing them all in one outer envelope marked Bid. The bid, as indicated in the bidding document, shall be typed or written in ink and shall be signed by the bidder or its duly authorized representatives. All envelopes shall contain the name of the contract to be bid in capital letters. It should bear the name and address of the bidder in capital letters. Be addressed to the procuring entity's back in accordance with ITB Clause 1.1. It should bear the specific identification of this bidding process indicated in the ITB Clause 1.1 and bear a warning, do not open before the date and time for the opening of bids in accordance with ITB Clause 19. For manually submitted bid envelopes that are not properly sealed and marked as required in the bidding documents, the same shall be accepted, provided that the bidder or its duly authorized representative shall acknowledge such condition of the bid as submitted. On the other hand, unsealed or unmarked bid envelopes or bids that cannot be opened or corrupted in case of online submission shall be rejected. The BAC shall assume no responsibility for misplaced or lost contents of the improperly sealed or marked bid, or for its premature opening. Deadline for submission of bids. Bids must be received by the procuring entity's BAC at the address indicated in the IB on or before the date and time indicated in the BDS. Late bids. Bids, including the eligibility requirements submitted after the deadline, shall be rejected by the BAC. The BAC shall record in the minutes of the meeting the submission and opening of the bids, the bidder's name, its representative, and the time the late bid was submitted. Modification and withdrawal of bids. Bidders may modify their bids before the deadline for the submission and receipt of bids. The bidder shall not be allowed to retrieve their original bid, but shall only be allowed to submit the bid modification by sending another bid, equally sealed, properly identified, linked to its original bid, and marked as a modification thereof, and stamped received by the BAC. Bid modifications received after the applicable deadline shall not be considered and shall be returned to the bidder unopened. Bidders may withdraw their bids in writing before the deadline for submission and receipt of bids. Withdrawal of bids after the applicable deadline shall be subject to appropriate sanctions as prescribed in the IRR. Bidders may also express their intention not to participate in the bidding in writing, which should be received by the BAC before the deadline for submission and receipt of bids. Bidders that withdraw their bid shall no longer be allowed to submit another bid for the same contract directly or indirectly. No bid may be modified after the deadline for submission and receipt of bids. Further, no bid may be withdrawn in the interval between the deadline for submission and receipt of bids and the expiration of bid validity specified by the bidder in the financial bid form. Withdrawal of bid during this interval shall result in the forfeiture of the bidder's bid security pursuant to ITB Clause 16.5 and the imposition of administrative sanctions as prescribed by RA number 12009 and without prejudice to the imposition of civil and criminal sanctions as provided under applicable laws. Alternative bids shall be rejected. For this purpose, alternative bids shall pertain to an offer made by a bidder in addition or as a substitute to its original bid, which may be included as part of its original bid or submitted separately. A bid with option shall likewise be considered an alternative bid regardless of whether said bid proposal is contained in a single envelope or submitted in two or more separate bid envelopes. Each bidder shall submit only one bid, either individually or as a partner in a JV. A bidder who submits or participates in more than one bid other than as a subcontractor, if a subcontractor is permitted to participate in more than one bid, will cause all the proposals with the bidder's participation to be disqualified. This shall be without prejudice to any applicable criminal, civil, and administrative penalties that may be imposed upon the persons and entities concerned. Here are the common reasons for rejection of bids: ineligibility and post-disqualification of bidders, shorter bid validity and bid security validity period, failure to indicate the validity of bid in the bid form, late submission of bid, unsatisfactory SPS rating and ongoing and completed contracts with other agencies. Common errors in the submission of bids: single proprietor. Signatory should be the owner or proprietor only. For corporation or cooperative, board secretary certificate and board resolution. For partnership, as indicated in the articles of partnership. Evaluation and comparison of bids. Process to be confidential. Members of the BAC, its staff and personnel, Secretariat, and TWG, as well as observers, are prohibited from making or accepting any communication with any bidder regarding the evaluation of their bids until the issuance of the notice of award, unless otherwise allowed in the case of ITB Clause 24. Any effort by a bidder to influence the procuring entity in the procuring entity's decision in respect of bid evaluation, bid comparison, or contract award will result in the rejection of the bid. Clarification of bids. To assist in the evaluation, comparison, and post-qualification of the bids, the procuring entity may ask in writing any bidder for a clarification of its bid. All responses to requests for clarification shall be in writing. Any clarification submitted by a bidder in respect to its bid that is not in response to the request of the procuring entity shall not be considered. Domestic preference. The procuring entity shall give priority and preference to Philippine products and services. The preference and priority for Philippine products shall be guaranteed at all levels of the procurement process, including raw materials, ingredients, supplies, or fixtures. For a period of 10 years from the effectivity of RA number 11981 or the Tatak Pinoy Proudly Filipino Act, and for Philippine products and services in sectors and economic activities covered by the prevailing Tatak Pinoy strategy, the procuring entity is mandated to award the contract to the domestic bidder for Philippine products and services in sectors and economic activities covered by the prevailing Tatak Pinoy strategy. Domestic bidder, for purposes of this provision, refers to any person or entity offering unmanufactured articles, materials, or supplies grown or produced in the Philippines, or manufactured articles, materials, or supplies manufactured or to be manufactured in the Philippines substantially from articles, materials, or supplies that are or will be produced or manufactured in the Philippines as the case may be. Detailed evaluation and comparison of bids. The procuring entity's evaluation of bids shall be based on the bid price coded in the bid form, which includes the price schedule. The financial component of the bids of each past bidder shall be evaluated using non-discretionary criteria, including arithmetical corrections for computational errors, and thus determine the correct total calculated bid prices. The BAC shall automatically disqualify any total calculated bid price which exceeds the ABC. The following factors are to be considered in the evaluation of the bid prices. Completeness. No price in required item, non-responsive, indicating a zero or a dash, free to the government. All prices are deemed to include all taxes. Bids not addressing or providing all of the required items in the bidding documents, including where applicable BOQ, shall be considered non-responsive and thus automatically disqualified. Arithmetical corrections. Bid prices and figures versus words. Words prevail. Total price per item versus unit price per item. Unit price prevails. Total price versus actual sum of component items. actual sum prevails. Unit cost in detailed estimate versus unit cost in BOQ. BOQ prevails. If above ABC, disqualified. Post-qualification. The BAC shall determine to its satisfaction whether the bidder that is evaluated as having submitted the LCB, MEAB, or MAB as the case may be complies with and is responsive to all the requirements and conditions specified in ITB clauses 5, 12.1, and 12.2. The bidder, within 5 calendar days from receipt of notice from the BAC that it submitted the LCB, MEAB, or MAB shall submit all the eligibility documents supporting its PhilGIP certificate of registration, platinum membership, its latest income and business tax returns filed for the preceding quarter, which should not be earlier than 2 quarters from the date of submission and receipt to bid, and other appropriate licenses and permits required by law and stated in the BDS. Award of contract. The performance security shall be in a form selected by the procuring entity in the amount indicated in the BDS, which shall not be less than the percentage of the total contract price in accordance with the following price schedule. Form of performance security. Cash or cashier's or manager's check issued by a universal or commercial bank. Amount of performance security not less than the percentage of the total contract price is 5%. Bank draft. Guarantee or irrevocable LC issued by a universal or commercial bank, 5%. For surety bond callable upon demand issued by a surety or insurance company duly certified by the Insurance Commission as authorized to issue such security, 30%. For contract award, the performance security shall be denominated in Philippine peso and posted in favor of the procuring entity, which shall be forfeited in the event it is established that the winning bidder is in default in any of its obligations under the contract.
Any questions or clarification from participants? There being none, I hereby declare the private conference adjourned. Thank you.